My name is John Matthews, and for most of my life, I had been a man on the fringes. In the overcrowded cities of Earth, I was just another face in the crowd, struggling to get by with menial jobs and barely making ends meet. The opportunity to join the first permanent colony on a distant planet came at a time when I had nothing left to lose. My world on Earth was a series of dead ends, and this mission offered a chance for redemption, a clean slate in the uncharted expanse of the cosmos. The selection process for the colony was rigorous. Thousands of hopefuls from across the globe applied, each dreaming of a new beginning. I went through rounds of physical tests, psychological evaluations, and intensive training sessions. Each stage of the process weeded out those who weren't fit for the challenges ahead. To my surprise, I made the cut. I was chosen to be one of the 248 pioneers tasked with building a new society on Elysium. The days leading up to our departure were a whirlwind of activity. We underwent further training, learned about the technology that would support us, and familiarized ourselves with the protocols for living on a new planet. The excitement was palpable, but so was the anxiety. This mission was unlike anything humanity had attempted before. We were venturing into the unknown, with no guarantee of success or even survival. The day of our departure arrived with a crisp, clear morning. The spaceport was a hive of activity, filled with families, friends, and officials there to see us off. The 248 of us, dressed in our matching jumpsuits, stood together, ready to embark on this monumental journey. Commander Alex Carter, a seasoned astronaut with a reputation for leadership, addressed us one last time before we boarded the Odyssey. "We are the pioneers of a new era," Carter proclaimed, his voice carrying over the hum of the crowd. "Together, we will explore new worlds and create new habitats. We will shape our future. Remember, this mission is not just about survival, but about building a society where we can thrive. Let's make history." As we filed into the Odyssey, the enormity of what we were about to undertake hit me. The spaceship was a marvel of engineering, equipped with everything we would need for the long journey and the initial stages of our new life on Elysium. Advanced life support systems, hydroponic gardens, and state-of-the-art laboratories filled the vessel. It was designed to be a self-sustaining habitat during our months-long voyage. I found my assigned quarters and stowed my few personal belongings. The cabin was small but functional, just enough space for a bed, a desk, and some storage. As I settled in, the ship's intercom crackled to life, and Commander Carter's voice came through, announcing our imminent departure. "All personnel, prepare for launch. This is it, folks. Next stop, Elysium." The engines roared to life, a deep vibration coursing through the ship as it lifted off. I watched through the small porthole as Earth grew smaller, a blue and green marble suspended in the vastness of space. This was my last glimpse of the planet that had been my home, but also the source of so much disappointment. I turned away, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. The journey to Elysium was long and challenging. We spent months in transit, traveling through the silent void of space. To keep us occupied and prepared, our days were filled with training sessions, educational modules, and team-building exercises. The Odyssey's artificial gravity and simulated day-night cycles helped maintain a semblance of normalcy, but the monotony of space travel weighed heavily on everyone. I quickly formed bonds with some of my fellow colonists. Dr. Alara Quinn, a brilliant biologist, became a close friend. Her passion for discovery and her optimism were infectious. She often spoke about the potential for finding new life forms on Elysium and the scientific breakthroughs that awaited us. Marcus Hale, an engineer with an unshakable positive attitude, was another key figure in our group. He could always be counted on to lift our spirits, even during the most tedious tasks. And then there was Laura Vega, a seasoned explorer and survival expert. Her stories of past missions and her no-nonsense approach to leadership earned her the respect of everyone on board. Life on the Odyssey settled into a routine. We had regular briefings with Commander Carter and the senior staff, who kept us updated on our progress and what to expect once we arrived. We learned about the planet's atmosphere, its geography, and the challenges we would face. We trained in the use of the prefabricated structures that would form our initial settlement and practiced emergency drills to prepare for any eventuality. As we approached Elysium, the excitement on board reached a fever pitch. The first glimpses of our new home were breathtaking. The planet was a stunning mosaic of blue oceans, green forests, and rugged mountain ranges. It was both alien and familiar, a world that promised adventure and opportunity. The day of our landing was one I will never forget. The descent to the planet's surface was smooth, the Odyssey's thrusters guiding us down to a designated landing site. When the hatch finally opened, and we stepped onto the surface of Elysium, I was overwhelmed by the sense of possibility. The air was fresh, with a hint of unfamiliar scents. The sky above was a deeper blue than Earth's, and the landscape stretched out before us, untouched and pristine. Our first task was to establish a base of operations. We quickly got to work, assembling the prefabricated structures into a temporary settlement. The heart of our new home was a massive glass dome, designed to protect us from the harshest elements while allowing us to live and work in a controlled environment. It was a marvel of modern engineering, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. The early days on Elysium were filled with hard work and discovery. We faced numerous challenges, from adapting to the planet's weather patterns to navigating its rugged terrain. Yet, each obstacle we overcame brought us closer together. The bonds we had formed during our journey strengthened as we relied on each other to build our new lives. Dr. Alara Quinn led the effort to study the planet's biology. She was in her element, collecting samples and cataloging the diverse flora and fauna. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and she often shared her findings with the rest of us, explaining the significance of each new discovery. Marcus Hale was indispensable in setting up the infrastructure. His engineering skills ensured that our habitat was functional and efficient. He was always there to lend a hand or offer a word of encouragement, keeping morale high even when the work was tough. Laura Vega organized the scouting missions, leading teams into the unexplored regions of our new world. Her expertise in survival and exploration was invaluable, and her leadership inspired confidence in those who ventured out with her. As I settled into my role within the colony, I found a sense of purpose that had eluded me on Earth. Each day brought new challenges and opportunities for growth. I was part of something greater than myself, a pioneer helping to build a new society from the ground up. Reflecting on those early days, I realize now how crucial they were in shaping our future. We faced countless hardships, but we also experienced moments of profound beauty and triumph. Each sunrise brought new challenges, but also new opportunities. Together, we were building something extraordinary, something that would endure for generations to come. And so, with hope in our hearts and determination in our minds, we set out to build a new world on Elysium. This was our chance to leave behind the failures of the past and create a future filled with possibility. The days following our arrival on Elysium were a whirlwind of activity and hard work. The initial excitement of stepping onto a new world quickly gave way to the reality of establishing a sustainable settlement. The prefabricated structures we had brought with us were essential, but they were only the beginning. We needed to build homes, laboratories, and communal spaces, all while ensuring we had enough resources to survive. Commander Alex Carter held daily briefings to coordinate our efforts. His leadership was crucial in these early days, keeping us focused and organized. "We have a lot of work ahead of us," he would say, his tone always firm but encouraging. "But remember, we are building the foundation of a new society. Every task, no matter how small, is important." My role in the colony was multifaceted. As a general laborer, I found myself involved in a variety of tasks, from construction to maintenance to assisting with scientific research. It was exhausting work, but it was also deeply satisfying. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was contributing to something meaningful. The glass dome, our primary habitat, was a marvel of modern engineering. It provided protection from the harsh elements and allowed us to create a controlled environment for living and working. Inside the dome, we set up hydroponic gardens to grow food, laboratories for scientific research, and communal areas for meetings and relaxation. The dome bustled with activity. Teams of colonists moved back and forth, carrying supplies, assembling structures, and attending to various tasks. The air was filled with the hum of machinery and the chatter of people working together. It was a far cry from the desolate world I had left behind on Earth. Dr. Alara Quinn's enthusiasm for exploring Elysium's biodiversity was infectious. She often took small teams out to collect samples and study the local flora and fauna. One day, she invited me to join her on a field expedition. "John, I could use an extra pair of hands. Plus, it would be good for you to see more of the planet." We ventured out beyond the dome, trekking through dense forests and across open plains. The landscape was breathtaking, filled with vibrant colors and unfamiliar sounds. Alara moved with the confidence of someone in her element, pointing out various plants and explaining their potential uses. "This one here," she said, indicating a tall, blue-leaved plant, "might have medicinal properties. We need to study it further, but it's promising." As we worked, we talked about our lives before the mission. Alara had been a leading biologist on Earth, but like many of us, she had felt stifled by the limitations of our home planet. "Coming here," she said, "is a chance to start over. To do something that truly matters." Marcus Hale, meanwhile, was a constant presence in the construction zones. His expertise in engineering was invaluable as we erected new buildings and infrastructure. He had an uncanny ability to solve problems on the fly, improvising solutions with whatever materials were at hand. "It's all about adaptability," he would say with a grin. "We can't afford to be rigid in our thinking out here." One evening, after a long day of work, Marcus and I found ourselves sitting on a hill overlooking the dome. The setting sun cast a golden light over the landscape, and for a moment, everything seemed peaceful. "You know, John," Marcus said, "we're making history here. It's not easy, but nothing worth doing ever is." Laura Vega's scouting missions were critical to our understanding of Elysium. She led teams into uncharted territories, mapping the land and identifying potential resources. Her no-nonsense approach and wealth of experience made her an excellent leader. I had the opportunity to join one of her expeditions, and it was an eye-opening experience. We trekked through rugged terrain, crossing rivers and climbing steep hills. Laura was always vigilant, constantly scanning our surroundings for any signs of danger. "Out here, you have to be prepared for anything," she told us. "The planet is beautiful, but it's also unpredictable." During one of our scouting trips, we stumbled upon a vast, open plain dotted with strange, crystalline structures. Laura immediately recognized the potential. "These crystals might be a valuable resource. We need to analyze them and see what we can learn." Back at the dome, we shared our findings with the rest of the colony. Each discovery, no matter how small, was a step forward in our quest to understand and thrive on Elysium. The sense of progress and accomplishment was tangible, fueling our determination to succeed. As the weeks turned into months, our settlement grew. The initial structures gave way to more permanent buildings, and our community began to take shape. We faced countless challenges, from equipment malfunctions to unexpected storms, but each obstacle only strengthened our resolve. Our daily routines became more structured. We had work shifts, communal meals, and regular meetings to discuss our progress and plan for the future. The bonds we had formed during the journey deepened as we relied on each other to build our new lives. One evening, as we gathered in the communal area for dinner, Commander Carter addressed us. "We've come a long way since we landed," he said, his voice filled with pride. "But our journey is far from over. We have the opportunity to create something truly remarkable here, and I have no doubt that we will rise to the challenge." Looking around at my fellow colonists, I saw determination and hope in their eyes. We had all come from different backgrounds and experiences, but here on Elysium, we were united by a common purpose. We were building a new world, one brick at a time. Reflecting on those early days, I realize now how crucial they were in shaping our future. We faced countless hardships, but we also experienced moments of profound beauty and triumph. Each sunrise brought new challenges, but also new opportunities. Together, we were building something extraordinary, something that would endure for generations to come. As the initial flurry of activity began to settle, the reality of our new lives on Elysium set in. We had built the basic infrastructure and established our routines, but the social dynamics of our community were starting to take shape in ways none of us had anticipated. In the confined space of the glass dome, the seeds of division were quietly being sown. At first, the differences among us were subtle. Those with specialized skills, scientists, engineers, and medical personnel, naturally gravitated towards each other, forming tight-knit groups. Meanwhile, those of us who were general laborers or had less specific roles often found ourselves on the periphery. This unspoken hierarchy began to manifest in small ways. Who got the best quarters, who had access to certain resources first, and who had the ear of the leadership. I first noticed this divide during a routine maintenance check on one of the hydroponic farms. As I was repairing a malfunctioning water pump, I overheard a conversation between two scientists discussing their dissatisfaction with the way supplies were being distributed. "It's ridiculous that we have to compete for basic equipment with people who don't even understand how to use it," one of them said. The comment stung, and I realized that beneath the surface of our united front, cracks were beginning to appear. Dr. Alara Quinn, always perceptive, was quick to address these emerging issues. She organized informal gatherings in the evenings, inviting anyone who wanted to join. These gatherings, held in the communal area, were intended to foster a sense of community and to bridge the gaps that were forming. "We need to remember why we're here," she would say, her voice gentle but firm. "We're building a new world together. Every single person here is vital to our success." Despite her efforts, the social stratification continued. Marcus Hale, ever the optimist, tried to mediate between different groups. He spent his days not just working on engineering projects, but also talking to people, listening to their concerns, and trying to find common ground. "We're all in this together," he reminded everyone. "Let's focus on what we have in common, not what divides us." Laura Vega's scouting missions provided a welcome distraction from the growing tensions within the dome. I frequently volunteered to join her teams, eager for the sense of purpose and adventure these missions provided. Each expedition was an opportunity to explore new parts of Elysium, to map uncharted territories, and to bring back valuable resources. Laura's leadership was unyielding, and under her guidance, we faced the planet's challenges head-on. During one such mission, we ventured into a dense forest, far from the safety of our settlement. The canopy above was thick, allowing only slivers of sunlight to reach the forest floor. As we moved through the underbrush, we discovered a series of caves etched into the hillside. The walls of these caves were covered in strange, intricate carvings, unlike anything we had seen before. Laura was fascinated. "These markings could be evidence of an ancient civilization," she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "We need to document everything." We spent hours exploring the caves, taking detailed notes and photographs. It was a welcome reprieve from the social tensions back at the dome. Here, in the wilds of Elysium, we were united by our curiosity and our shared sense of discovery. Back at the dome, however, the divisions were becoming harder to ignore. The communal meals, once lively and filled with conversation, had grown quieter. Groups of people sat together based on their roles and perceived status. The sense of unity that had carried us through the early days was fraying at the edges. Commander Carter, aware of the growing unrest, addressed the colony during one of our evening meetings. "We cannot allow these divisions to define us," he said, his voice firm. "We came here to build a new society, one based on equality and cooperation. Each of you is essential to our success. We must work together, not against each other." Despite his words, the underlying tensions persisted. The social dynamics within the dome were complex, shaped by our backgrounds, our skills, and our personal ambitions. It was clear that if we were to succeed, we needed to find a way to bridge these divides and foster a true sense of community. One evening, after a particularly heated discussion about resource allocation, I found myself sitting alone, reflecting on the state of our colony. The journey to Elysium had been filled with hope and promise, but now we were facing the harsh reality of building a new society. It was a daunting task, one that required not just physical labor but emotional resilience and a willingness to compromise. As I sat there, Elara joined me. "It's hard, isn't it?" she said, her voice filled with empathy. "Building something new means facing our own flaws and learning how to overcome them together." I nodded, appreciating her presence. "I just hope we can find a way to come together before it's too late." "We will," she said with conviction. "We have to. This is our chance to create something better, something lasting. But it won't happen overnight. We need to be patient and persistent." In the weeks that followed, efforts to bridge the social divides intensified. Elara continued her evening gatherings, encouraging open dialogue and mutual understanding. Marcus organized team-building activities and workshops, designed to foster collaboration and break down barriers. Laura's scouting missions brought back not just resources but also stories of shared adventure, reminding everyone of our common goals. Slowly but surely, the atmosphere within the dome began to shift. The cracks in our unity started to heal, and a renewed sense of purpose emerged. We were reminded that our strength lay in our diversity, in the unique contributions of each individual. Together, we could overcome the challenges of Elysium and build a society that truly reflected our highest ideals. As the social dynamics evolved, so did our sense of identity as a colony. We were no longer just a group of individuals from Earth. We were pioneers, forging a new path in an uncharted land. And despite the challenges, we were determined to succeed. Life on Elysium was starting to find a rhythm, but the sense of discovery and adventure never waned. Every day brought new challenges and opportunities to explore the unknown. Our initial settlement within the protective glass dome had provided us with a stable base, but the real work lay beyond its transparent walls. Commander Alex Carter frequently reminded us that our mission was not just to survive, but to thrive and expand our knowledge of this new world. One of the most exciting aspects of our work was the exploration missions led by Laura Vega. These expeditions took us into the uncharted territories of Elysium, where we encountered both breathtaking beauty and unexpected dangers. I often volunteered for these missions, eager to contribute to our collective understanding of the planet. Our first major expedition took us deep into the forests surrounding our settlement. The dense canopy overhead filtered the sunlight, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar vegetation and the sounds of alien wildlife. As we moved through the underbrush, every rustle and chirp was a reminder of how little we knew about this place. Laura led the way with her usual confidence, her eyes constantly scanning our surroundings. "Stay alert," she advised. "We don't know what kind of creatures inhabit these forests, and we need to be prepared for anything." The team consisted of a mix of scientists, engineers, and general laborers like myself. Each of us had a specific role to play. Dr. Elara Quinn was there to collect biological samples. Marcus Hale was tasked with setting up temporary outposts and communication relays, and I was there to assist wherever needed. As we pushed deeper into the forest, we came across a series of large, bioluminescent plants that glowed with an eerie blue light. Elara was immediately fascinated. "These plants could have unique properties," she said, carefully taking a sample. "We need to study them back at the lab." Further along, we encountered a river with crystal-clear water. The riverbanks were lined with smooth stones, and the water teemed with strange, colorful fish. Marcus set up a portable water analysis unit to test the quality of the water. "If this water is safe to drink, it could be a valuable resource for our colony," he explained. The day was filled with discoveries, but also with reminders of the planet's unpredictability. As we made our way back to the dome, the weather suddenly changed. Dark clouds gathered overhead, and a fierce storm rolled in with little warning. We sought shelter under a rocky outcrop, huddling together as the wind howled and rain poured down. Laura kept us calm and focused. "This storm will pass," she assured us. "We just need to stay put and wait it out." The storm lasted for hours, but eventually, the skies cleared, and we resumed our journey. By the time we returned to the dome, we were exhausted but exhilarated by the day's adventures. Back at the settlement, The discoveries from our expedition were the topic of much excitement. Elara analyzed the plant samples and found that they contained compounds with potential medicinal properties. Marcus's tests confirmed that the river water was indeed safe to drink, providing us with a valuable new resource. Our successful mission boosted morale and reinforced the importance of our exploration efforts. It also highlighted the need for careful planning and preparedness in the face of Elysium's unpredictable nature. Encouraged by our findings, Commander Carter authorized more frequent and longer-range expeditions. Each mission brought new insights and challenges. We mapped vast areas of the planet, identified potential sites for future settlements, and cataloged a wide array of plant and animal life. However, not all our encounters were benign. On one mission, we ventured into a rocky canyon that turned out to be the territory of a large, aggressive creature. It was unlike anything we had seen before, with armored scales and powerful limbs. The creature charged at us, forcing us to retreat rapidly. Laura's quick thinking and leadership were crucial in getting us back to safety without any casualties. These encounters served as a stark reminder of the risks we faced. Elysium was a world of both wonder and danger, and we needed to approach it with respect and caution. The more we explored, the more we realized how little we knew. Each discovery opened up new questions, new mysteries to unravel. But with each challenge, our colony grew stronger and more resilient. We learned to adapt, to work together, and to push the boundaries of what we thought was possible. The sense of camaraderie that developed during these expeditions was unlike anything I had experienced before. We were a team, united by a shared purpose and the thrill of discovery. The bonds we formed out in the wilds of Elysium were unbreakable, forged through shared hardships and triumphs. Reflecting on these early explorations, I am struck by how they shaped our understanding of the planet and our place within it. We were no longer just settlers, we were explorers, scientists, and adventurers, driven by a relentless curiosity and a determination to thrive. As the days turned into weeks and months, our knowledge of Elysium deepened. We mapped its landscapes, studied its ecosystems, and began to understand the delicate balance that sustained life here. This knowledge was crucial for our survival, but it also gave us a profound sense of connection to our new home. Through all the discoveries and dangers, one thing remained clear: Elysium was a world of endless possibility. And we were just beginning to uncover its secrets. As our understanding of Elysium deepened, so did the complexities of our existence. The discoveries from our expeditions provided invaluable resources and knowledge, but they also brought to light the growing tensions within our community. The initial excitement and unity that had defined our early days were giving way to deeper, more persistent tensions. One of the main sources of these tensions was the increasing divide between the various social groups within the colony. Despite our best efforts, the social stratification persisted, and it began to affect our daily lives more profoundly. The scientists, engineers, and skilled professionals naturally held more influence, while those of us in general labor roles felt increasingly marginalized. Commander Alex Carter remained committed to addressing these issues. He continued to hold regular meetings to foster dialogue and collaboration, but the underlying frustrations were hard to ignore. The atmosphere in the dome grew more strained, and tempers flared more easily. While these tensions simmered, I found myself grappling with a secret that weighed heavily on my conscience. During one of our earlier scouting missions, we had encountered a group of sentient beings native to Elysium. These beings, whom we called the Elysians, were highly intelligent and seemed to have a deep connection to the planet. Their presence was both awe-inspiring and unsettling, and it was clear that they had lived on this planet long before we arrived. Laura Vega and I had decided to keep this encounter a secret, fearing the potential repercussions. We were concerned about how the colonists would react, especially given the growing tensions within our community. We also worried that revealing the existence of the Elysians might lead to conflict or exploitation. However, the burden of this secret was becoming increasingly difficult to bear. I knew that hiding such a significant discovery from Commander Carter and the rest of the colony could have serious consequences. Yet, I also understood that the timing and manner of revealing this information were critical. In the meantime, our exploration missions continued, and each one brought new discoveries and challenges. On one such mission, we ventured into a vast, arid desert, hoping to find mineral deposits that could be used for construction and manufacturing. The heat was oppressive, and the landscape seemed barren, but we pressed on, driven by the hope of discovery. As we navigated the dunes, we came across a series of underground caverns. Inside, we found rich deposits of rare minerals, exactly what we had been searching for. However, the caverns also housed a species of bioluminescent creatures that were highly territorial. When we disturbed their habitat, they attacked. The encounter was intense. These creatures were unlike anything we had seen before, with sharp claws and a fierce determination to protect their home. Laura's quick thinking and leadership were crucial in getting us back to safety without any casualties. Back at the dome, I found it increasingly difficult to focus on my tasks. The secret of the Elysians gnawed at me, and I began to question our decision to keep it hidden. I confided in Alara, who had become a trusted friend and confidant. "Alara, there's something I need to tell you," I said one evening as we worked late in the lab. She looked up from her notes, her expression curious. "What is it, John?" Taking a deep breath, I recounted our encounter with the Elysians. Her eyes widened as she listened, and when I finished, she was silent for a moment, processing the information. "This is significant," she finally said. "We need to tell Commander Carter. The colony has a right to know, and we need to approach this with transparency and caution." I nodded, relieved to have shared the burden but also anxious about the repercussions. Together, we decided to approach Commander Carter the next morning. When we met with him in his office, I felt a knot of tension in my stomach. Carter listened intently as I recounted the encounter, his expression growing more serious with each passing moment. "This is a game changer, John," he said finally. "We need to handle this carefully. The existence of another intelligent species on this planet has far-reaching implications for our mission and our future here." Carter called an emergency meeting with the senior staff to discuss the situation. The room was filled with a tense silence as Alara and I presented our findings. The reactions were mixed, some were fascinated, others were apprehensive, and a few were outright alarmed. "We need to establish contact and build a relationship with the Elysians," Alara argued. "This planet is their home, and we need to respect that. Cooperation could lead to mutual benefits." Marcus, ever the pragmatist, was more cautious. "We need to proceed carefully. We don't know enough about their capabilities or intentions. Rushing into this could be dangerous." The debate continued for hours, but ultimately, it was decided that a small, carefully selected team would attempt to make contact with the Elysians. Laura, Alara, and I were chosen to lead this effort, given our previous encounter and our roles within the colony. As we prepared for this new mission, the weight of the situation pressed heavily on my shoulders. The potential for both great opportunity and great risk was immense. We were venturing into uncharted territory, not just in a physical sense, but in the realm of interspecies relations. The day of the mission arrived, and we set out with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The journey to the location where we had first encountered the Elysians was uneventful, but as we approached, the tension in the air was palpable. When we arrived, the Elysians were waiting for us. Their leader, a tall figure with an air of wisdom and authority, stepped forward. There was a moment of silence as we regarded each other, and then Laura spoke, her voice calm and respectful. "We come in peace. We wish to learn from you and to share our knowledge in return." The Elysian leader regarded us thoughtfully before speaking in a melodic, almost musical language. We couldn't understand the words, but the tone was welcoming. They gestured for us to follow, leading us deeper into their territory. The following hours were a whirlwind of communication attempts, using gestures, drawings, and technology to bridge the language gap. It was slow and sometimes frustrating, but gradually, we began to understand each other. Through these interactions, we learned that the Elysians had a deep connection to the planet and a sophisticated understanding of its ecosystems. They had seen many cycles of change and were wary of the newcomers who had arrived. However, they were also open to the possibility of collaboration, recognizing the potential for mutual benefit. As we returned to the dome, we felt a sense of cautious optimism. The first steps had been taken towards building a relationship with the Elysians. It was a delicate balance, but one that held great promise. Back at the colony, we shared our experiences and the knowledge we had gained. The revelation of the Elysians' existence and our initial contact with them sparked a range of reactions, but there was a general consensus that cooperation was the way forward. Reflecting on these events, I realized how crucial transparency and communication were for our survival and success. Keeping secrets had only added to the tensions within the colony. Moving forward, we needed to face challenges openly and together. As we navigated these new dynamics, I found strength in the relationships I had built. Elara, Laura, Marcus, and the others were more than just colleagues, they were my family. Together, we were committed to the vision of a thriving colony, one that respected and integrated with the world around us. The revelation of the Elysians had stirred up the colony in ways we hadn't fully anticipated. The initial shock and fascination gave way to deeper discussions about how to proceed. Commander Alex Carter's decision to pursue a cautious but open approach was met with mixed reactions, but most agreed it was the right course of action. However, the secret we had kept for so long had its consequences. As the days turned into weeks, the tension within the dome grew palpable. The knowledge of another intelligent species sharing our world forced us to rethink our priorities and strategies. The scientists were eager to learn from the Elysians, hoping to gain insights that could accelerate our understanding of Elysium's ecosystems. The engineers and laborers, on the other hand, were more concerned with the practicalities of coexisting and the potential risks involved. One morning, as I was helping Marcus Hale with some repairs on the hydroponic systems, he brought up the topic that had been on everyone's mind. "John, do you ever think about what this means for us? The Elysians, I mean. It's like everything we thought we knew has changed overnight." I nodded, tightening a bolt on a water pipe. "It's a lot to process. But I think it's an opportunity. If we can learn from them, maybe even work with them, it could benefit us in ways we can't even imagine." Marcus sighed, wiping sweat from his brow. "Yeah, but there's also a lot that could go wrong. We don't fully understand their capabilities or their intentions. We need to be careful." As we continued our work, I couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge wasn't just understanding the Elysians, but also managing our own community's reactions and fears. Later that day, a meeting was called to discuss the next steps. The room was filled with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Commander Carter, flanked by Dr. Elara Quinn and Laura Vega, addressed the assembled colonists. "We have made first contact with the Elysians," Carter began, his voice steady. "This is a significant moment in our mission. We have an opportunity to learn from an intelligent species that has lived on this planet far longer than we have. But we must proceed with caution and respect." Elara stepped forward, her enthusiasm tempered by the seriousness of the situation. "The Elysians have a deep connection to this planet's ecosystems. They can teach us how to live sustainably here. This knowledge is invaluable, but it will require patience and cooperation." The discussions that followed were intense. Some colonists expressed fear and skepticism, worried about the potential dangers of interacting with the Elysians. Others were more optimistic, seeing the potential for mutual benefit. Laura, always pragmatic, emphasized the need for clear protocols and safeguards. "We need to establish boundaries and communication guidelines. Our goal should be to build trust slowly, without imposing our presence or causing disruption." As the meeting continued, it became clear that while there were differing opinions, there was also a shared sense of responsibility. We were not just settlers on a new planet, we were part of a larger ecosystem, and our actions would have far-reaching consequences. Over the next few weeks, small teams were formed to facilitate communication and collaboration with the Elysians. These teams included scientists, engineers, and diplomats, each bringing their expertise to the table. I was part of one such team, working closely with Elara and Laura. Our first task was to establish a base of operations near the Elysian settlement. This base would serve as a neutral ground for meetings and exchanges. We constructed simple, temporary shelters and brought basic supplies. The Elysians, curious but cautious, observed our efforts. One evening, as we sat around a campfire near the new base, Elara shared her thoughts. "This is a pivotal moment for us, John. We have a chance to redefine our relationship with this planet and its inhabitants. But it requires humility and a willingness to learn." I looked into the flames, the flickering light reflecting my own mixed emotions. It's daunting, but it's also exciting. We're part of something much bigger than ourselves. Our interactions with the Elysians were slow and deliberate. Through gestures, drawings, and eventually some rudimentary language exchange, we began to communicate more effectively. We learned about their history, their culture, and their deep knowledge of Elysium's natural cycles. In return, we shared our own knowledge and technologies, always mindful of not overwhelming them or appearing too intrusive. The Elysians were particularly interested in our medical advancements, and we set up small clinics to provide care and exchange knowledge on healing practices. As the weeks passed, the initial wariness began to give way to a cautious friendship. The Elysians guided us to areas rich in resources, taught us sustainable farming techniques, and helped us understand the delicate balance of Elysium's ecosystems. Back at the dome, the mood was slowly shifting. The successful collaboration with the Elysians was a source of pride and hope. It showed that despite our differences, cooperation was possible. However, underlying tensions remained, and the challenge of integrating this new relationship into our daily lives was ongoing. Reflecting on these experiences, I realized how much we had grown as a community. The secrets and tensions that had once threatened to divide us were now being addressed openly. Transparency and communication had become our strongest tools, and they were crucial for our continued survival and success. As we moved forward, the path was still uncertain, but we were better equipped to face the challenges ahead. The Elysians had shown us that we were not alone in this journey, and their wisdom and guidance would be invaluable. Together, we were forging a new future on Elysium, one built on trust, respect, and collaboration. The fragile alliance with the Elysians brought a renewed sense of purpose to our colony, but it also introduced new complexities. Our interactions had grown more frequent and more meaningful, yet the underlying tensions within our own ranks were never far from the surface. Managing the delicate balance between collaboration with the Elysians and addressing our internal conflicts became a daily challenge. Commander Alex Carter continued to lead with a steady hand, but the strain was evident. He spent long hours in discussions with our senior staff and the Elysian leaders, working tirelessly to maintain the alliance and ensure that both communities benefited from the partnership. His dedication was unwavering, but I could see the toll it was taking on him. Dr. Elara Quinn was instrumental in bridging the gap between our people and the Elysians. Her ability to communicate and empathize with them was remarkable. She spent countless hours learning their language and culture, often staying up late to document her findings and develop strategies for deeper cooperation. One evening, as I joined her in the lab, I noticed the exhaustion in her eyes. "Elara, you need to rest," I said gently. "You're pushing yourself too hard." She looked up from her notes, a weary smile on her face. "I know, John. But this work is important. We have a unique opportunity here, and I don't want to waste it." I nodded, understanding her commitment. "Just remember, we need you at your best. Take care of yourself too." Our interactions with the Elysians had led to significant advancements in our understanding of Elysium. We had learned about sustainable farming techniques, discovered new medicinal plants, and gained insights into the planet's natural cycles. In return, we shared our technological knowledge and provided medical assistance, creating a foundation of mutual respect and trust. However, not everyone in the colony was convinced of the benefits of this alliance. Some feared that we were becoming too dependent on the Elysians, while others worried about the potential risks of such close interactions. These fears often manifested as heated debates during our communal meetings. Marcus Hale, ever the pragmatist, was one of the voices calling for caution. "We need to ensure that we're not compromising our own security and autonomy," he argued during one meeting. While cooperation is important, we must remain vigilant and self-reliant. Laura Vega, who had become one of the strongest advocates for the Alliance, countered his concerns. The Elysians have shown us nothing but goodwill. They've helped us understand this planet in ways we never could have on our own. This partnership is essential for our survival and growth. The debates were intense, but they were also necessary. They forced us to confront our fears and uncertainties, to weigh the risks and benefits, and to make informed decisions about our future. Amidst these discussions, I found myself grappling with my own doubts. The Alliance had brought us many benefits, but it had also introduced new challenges. I often wondered if we were on the right path, if we were making the right choices. These thoughts weighed heavily on me, and I found solace in my friendships with Alara, Marcus, and Laura. One day, as we were preparing for another joint expedition with the Elysians, I confided in Laura about my concerns. "Do you ever worry that we're relying too much on them?" I asked as we checked our equipment. She paused, considering my question. "Of course I do," she admitted. "But I also believe that this partnership is our best chance for success. We've learned so much from them, and they've helped us navigate this world. We just need to find the right balance." Her words resonated with me. The key was balance, maintaining our independence while embracing the opportunities that the Alliance offered. It was a delicate dance, but one that we had to master if we were to thrive on Elysium. As the expedition set out, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. We were venturing into an area that the Elysians had indicated was rich in resources. The landscape was breathtaking, with towering mountains and lush valleys. The Elysians guided us with a mix of gestures and their melodic language, pointing out areas of interest and potential hazards. During a break, Alara approached me, her eyes reflecting the awe we all felt. "This planet never ceases to amaze me," she said, gazing at the distant peaks. "There's so much to learn, so much to explore." I nodded, sharing her sentiment. "It's a privilege to be here, to be part of this." As we continued our journey, we stumbled upon a hidden valley filled with vibrant, glowing plants. The Elysians explained that these plants had unique properties that could be harnessed for both medicinal and energy purposes. Alara was ecstatic, immediately taking samples and making notes. The Elysians also showed us a series of ancient carvings on the valley walls, depicting scenes of their history and culture. These carvings provided invaluable insights into their way of life and their relationship with Elysium. It was a humbling experience, realizing that we were not the first to explore and understand this world. Back at the dome, we shared our findings with the rest of the colony. The glowing plants and ancient carvings sparked excitement and curiosity, reminding everyone of the potential that lay in our alliance with the Elysians. Reflecting on these experiences, I realized that the journey we were on was not just about survival, but about discovery and growth. The Elysians had become our partners in this journey, guiding us and teaching us. The challenges we faced were significant, but so were the rewards. As we navigated the complexities of our alliance, the importance of unity and mutual respect became ever clearer. We were building a new future on Elysium, one that required both resilience and openness. The path ahead was uncertain, but it was also filled with promise. Together, we were forging a new destiny, one that honored the past while embracing the possibilities of the future. And in this fragile alliance, we found hope and strength, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The alliance with the Elysians had brought both remarkable advancements and underlying tensions. As we continued to learn from our new partners and adapt to the challenges of Elysium, the fragile balance within the colony grew increasingly strained. The pressures of maintaining our settlement and the complexities of our relationships with the Elysians reached a breaking point. One morning, the usually calm atmosphere within the dome was shattered by an urgent alarm. I rushed to the Central Command Center, where Commander Alex Carter was already coordinating the response. On the main screen, a live feed showed one of our outer supply depots engulfed in flames. The sight was both terrifying and bewildering. "What's happening?" I asked, struggling to process the chaos. "Sabotage," Carter replied grimly. "We don't know who did it, but someone set fire to the depot. We need to contain it before it spreads. The fire suppression team, led by Marcus Hale, sprang into action. We worked together to extinguish the flames and secure the area, but the damage was extensive. Valuable supplies were lost, and the incident left the colony in a state of shock. As the investigation unfolded, tensions flared. Accusations flew, and the fragile unity we had worked so hard to build began to unravel. Some colonists suspected the Elysians, fearing that our alliance had been a mistake. Others believed that the saboteur was from within our ranks, driven by the growing discontent and divisions. Commander Carter called an emergency meeting to address the crisis. The communal area was packed with colonists, their faces a mix of anger, fear, and confusion. Carter stood before us, his expression resolute. "We are facing a serious threat," he began. "But pointing fingers and placing blame will not help us. We need to come together, find the perpetrator, and ensure this does not happen again." Dr. Alara Quinn stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We need to approach this logically. Let's focus on the evidence and work together to find out who did this. Dividing ourselves will only make us more vulnerable." The meeting was tense, but it helped to refocus our efforts. A security team was established to investigate the sabotage, and additional precautions were put in place to protect our remaining supplies. The Elysians, upon hearing of the incident, offered their assistance, further complicating the delicate situation. Over the next few days, the investigation revealed disturbing information. Surveillance footage showed a shadowy figure tampering with the supply depot, but their identity was obscured. The act of sabotage was clearly premeditated, and the implications were deeply unsettling. As the investigation continued, I found myself grappling with my own doubts and fears. The colony was at a critical juncture, and our ability to navigate this crisis would determine our future. I sought solace in my friendships with Alara, Marcus, and Laura, each of us struggling with the weight of the situation. One evening, as we gathered to discuss the investigation, Marcus voiced a concern that had been on all our minds. What if the saboteur is one of us? Someone who's lost faith in our mission or is angry about our alliance with the Elysians? Laura nodded, her expression serious. We can't ignore that possibility. But we also can't let it tear us apart. We need to find out who did this and why. Alara, ever the mediator, offered a solution. Let's approach this with empathy. If someone within our ranks is responsible, they might be driven by fear or desperation. We need to understand their motives and address the root causes of their actions. As we delved deeper into the investigation, we began to uncover clues that pointed to a small group of disaffected colonists. They had grown increasingly frustrated with the colony's direction and felt marginalized by the social stratification. Their actions were a cry for attention, a desperate attempt to force change. With this information, Commander Carter called another meeting, this time with a more focused agenda. We have identified the individuals responsible for the sabotage, he announced. Their actions were driven by a sense of disillusionment and frustration. While their methods were unacceptable, we need to address the underlying issues that led to this crisis. The revelation was met with a mix of relief and anger. Some colonists called for harsh punishment, while others advocated for understanding and rehabilitation. Carter, ever the voice of reason, chose a balanced approach. We cannot tolerate sabotage, but we also cannot ignore the root causes of this discontent, he said. We will take appropriate measures to ensure our security, but we must also work to rebuild trust and address the concerns of all our colonists. The resolution of the crisis was a turning point for the colony. The saboteurs were held accountable, but efforts were also made to integrate them back into the community. Open forums were established to provide a platform for grievances and suggestions, fostering a more inclusive and transparent environment. The Elysians, witnessing our internal struggles, offered their support and guidance. They shared stories of their own challenges and how they had overcome divisions within their society. Their wisdom was invaluable, helping us to navigate our own path towards reconciliation and unity. Reflecting on this tumultuous period, I realized how crucial it was for us to face our challenges head-on. The crisis had exposed our vulnerabilities, but it had also brought us closer together. We had learned that true resilience came from understanding and addressing the fears and frustrations within our community. As we moved forward, the colony was stronger and more united. The alliance with the Elysians continued to flourish, built on a foundation of mutual respect and cooperation. We had faced a critical test and emerged not just as survivors, but as a thriving, cohesive community. Together, we were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, confident in our ability to overcome them through unity, empathy, and collaboration. The resolution of the sabotage crisis had brought a renewed sense of purpose and unity to our colony. The open forums and increased transparency had fostered a more inclusive environment, and the Elysians' continued support had strengthened our bond with them. However, as we moved forward, new challenges and opportunities awaited us. One of the most significant developments was the discovery of an ancient ruin deep within the unexplored regions of Elysium. Laura Vega's scouting team had stumbled upon the site during one of their expeditions, and the initial findings were nothing short of extraordinary. The ruins hinted at a highly advanced civilization that had once thrived on this planet. Commander Alex Carter called a meeting to discuss the implications of this discovery. The room buzzed with excitement as Alara Quinn, Laura Vega, and other key members of the colony gathered to hear the details. "This could be a game-changer," Alara said, her eyes shining with excitement. "If we can understand the technologies and knowledge of this ancient civilization, it could revolutionize our approach to living on Elysium." Marcus Hale, ever the pragmatist, was more cautious. "We need to proceed carefully. We don't know what we might uncover, and there could be risks involved. But the potential benefits are undeniable." Carter nodded, acknowledging both perspectives. "We'll form a specialized team to explore the ruins and document their findings. This mission will be conducted with the utmost caution, and will ensure that all safety protocols are strictly followed." I was chosen to be part of this team, along with Alara, Laura, and a few other specialists. The prospect of uncovering ancient secrets was both thrilling and daunting. We spent days preparing for the expedition, gathering equipment, and reviewing safety procedures. The journey to the ruins took us through some of the most rugged and beautiful terrain we had encountered on Elysium. Towering mountains, dense forests, and crystal-clear rivers marked our path. The Elysians guided us, their knowledge of the land invaluable. When we finally arrived at the site, the sheer scale of the ruins took our breath away. Massive stone structures, intricately carved with symbols and images, rose from the ground, partially obscured by vegetation. It was clear that this had once been a thriving city, now long abandoned. Alara immediately began to document everything, her scientific curiosity driving her forward. "Look at these carvings," she said, pointing to a series of symbols on one of the walls. "They could tell us so much about this civilization's beliefs and technologies." Laura and I focused on mapping the site and ensuring our team's safety. The ruins were awe-inspiring, but they also held potential dangers. As we explored deeper, we found evidence of advanced technology, machines and devices that were far beyond our current understanding. One of the most intriguing discoveries was a large chamber filled with what appeared to be stasis pods. Each pod contained the preserved body of an ancient being, their features strikingly similar to the Elysians. It was a chilling reminder of the passage of time and the fragility of civilizations. Alara was fascinated by the stasis pods. "If we can understand how these work, it could have profound implications for medical science and long-term space travel." As we continued our exploration, we also found detailed records and artifacts that hinted at the reasons for the civilization's decline. Environmental changes, resource depletion, and internal conflicts were all factors that seemed to have contributed to their downfall. These findings were sobering, serving as a stark reminder of the challenges we faced on Elysium. The ancient civilization had been highly advanced, yet they had ultimately succumbed to the same issues we were grappling with. It reinforced the importance of our alliance with the Elysians and our commitment to sustainable living. Back at the Dome, the excitement over our discoveries was palpable. We held a series of presentations to share our findings with the rest of the colony. The ancient technologies and knowledge we had uncovered sparked a wave of innovation and collaboration. Engineers and scientists worked together to study the artifacts and reverse engineer some of the ancient devices. The stasis pods, in particular, held immense potential, and Alara's team made significant progress in understanding their mechanisms. However, the most profound impact of our discoveries was the realization that we were part of a larger continuum of life on Elysium. The ancient civilizations' rise and fall were a testament to the challenges of living on this planet, and their legacy offered valuable lessons. Commander Carter emphasized this point during one of our communal meetings. The ruins remind us that we are not the first to face these challenges, and we won't be the last. Our success depends on learning from the past and forging a sustainable future. The sense of unity and purpose within the colony grew stronger. We were no longer just settlers trying to survive. We were stewards of a shared heritage, working to build a future that honored the past and embraced the possibilities of the present. As we moved forward, the lessons from the ancient ruins guided our actions. We continued to collaborate closely with the Elysians, integrating their wisdom with our technological advancements. Together, we developed new methods for sustainable farming, energy production, and resource management. The journey was far from easy, but each challenge we faced brought us closer together. The colony thrived, not just as a collection of individuals, but as a cohesive community united by a common purpose. Reflecting on these experiences, I realized how much we had grown. The initial excitement of discovery had given way to a deeper understanding of our place on Elysium. We were no longer just explorers, we were caretakers of a fragile and precious world. As we looked to the future, we did so with hope and determination. The ancient ruins had shown us both the potential and the peril of life on Elysium. It was up to us to learn from the past and build a future that honored the legacy of those who had come before us. Together, we were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, confident in our ability to overcome them through unity, resilience, and a shared commitment to a sustainable future. The discoveries at the ancient ruins had fundamentally transformed our approach to life on Elysium. The knowledge and technologies we unearthed provided new avenues for growth and sustainability, and the lessons of the past guided our decisions as we forged ahead. Our alliance with the Elysians deepened, built on mutual respect and a shared vision for the future. In the months that followed, the colony experienced a period of unprecedented progress. The integration of ancient technologies revolutionized our agricultural practices, energy production, and medical capabilities. The stasis pods, once a mysterious relic of a bygone era, became a cornerstone of our medical advancements, allowing us to better preserve and treat those with serious injuries or illnesses. Dr. Alara Quinn and her team were at the forefront of these developments. Their tireless work in deciphering the ancient texts and reverse engineering the technologies had paid off immensely. Alara's enthusiasm was infectious, and her leadership inspired a new wave of scientific inquiry and innovation. One morning, as I walked through the bustling corridors of our expanded dome, I marveled at the transformation. What had once been a fledgling settlement was now a thriving community. New structures, built with the knowledge gleaned from the ruins, dotted the landscape. The hydroponic farms, enhanced by ancient techniques, yielded bountiful harvests. Energy-efficient systems powered by sustainable sources illuminated our homes and workplaces. Commander Alex Carter called a meeting to discuss our next steps. The communal hall was filled with a palpable sense of optimism. Carter stood before us, his presence as commanding as ever. "We have come a long way," he began, his voice filled with pride. "Our journey has been fraught with challenges, but we have persevered. The knowledge and technologies we have uncovered are invaluable, and our alliance with the Elysians has strengthened our resolve. Together, we are building a future that honors both our heritage and the promise of Elysium." The meeting turned to the topic of expanding our settlement further. The discoveries at the ruins had revealed the existence of other potential sites rich in resources and ancient knowledge. Carter proposed a series of new expeditions to explore these areas, with the goal of establishing additional outposts and furthering our understanding of the planet. I was chosen to lead one of these expeditions, along with Alara, Marcus, and Laura. Our mission was to explore a region to the north, where preliminary scans had indicated the presence of more ruins and valuable resources. The excitement of another adventure filled me with a sense of purpose. As we prepared for the journey, the Elysians offered their assistance. Their guidance had been crucial in our previous explorations, and their deep connection to the land continued to be an invaluable asset. Together, we set out, a team united by a common goal. The landscape to the north was rugged and breathtaking. Towering cliffs, verdant valleys, and pristine lakes marked our path. The Elysians led us with their usual grace and wisdom, pointing out natural features and potential hazards. When we arrived at the new site, we found another set of ruins, even more impressive than the last. The structures were larger and more complex, with intricate carvings that hinted at a rich and sophisticated culture. Elara was ecstatic, immediately diving into her work of documenting and analyzing the site. As we explored further, we discovered a vast underground chamber filled with ancient machinery. Marcus was in his element, examining the devices and theorizing about their functions. "This could revolutionize our manufacturing capabilities," he said, his voice filled with awe. "The potential here is incredible." One of the most significant discoveries was a library of sorts, an archive of ancient texts and records. Elara and I spent hours poring over the documents, piecing together the history and knowledge of the ancient civilization. Their insights into sustainable living, resource management, and social organization were invaluable. Back at the dome, the news of our findings sparked a wave of enthusiasm. The ancient library's knowledge was shared widely, inspiring new projects and initiatives. The colony thrived, not just because of the resources we had found, but because of the wisdom we had gained. Reflecting on our journey, I realized how far we had come. The initial excitement of stepping onto a new world had evolved into a deep commitment to understanding and respecting Elysium. Our alliance with the Elysians, once fragile and tentative, was now a cornerstone of our success. Commander Carter's leadership, Elara's scientific brilliance, Marcus's engineering prowess, and Laura's unyielding determination had all played crucial roles in our progress. But more than that, it was our ability to come together as a community, to learn from each other and from the Elysians, that had made us strong. As we looked to the future, we did so with a sense of confidence and hope. The challenges we faced were significant, but we had the knowledge, the tools, and the unity to overcome them. The ancient civilization's legacy had become a part of our own, and their lessons guided us as we built a future that honored their memory. Standing on a hill overlooking our thriving settlement, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. We had turned the promise of Elysium into a reality, a new dawn for humanity. Together, we were ready to face whatever lay ahead, united in our commitment to a sustainable, prosperous future.